good to have you on the show. Sir, it seems to me, I mean, covering this for the past 5-6 hours, that everyone is playing this with extreme caution. With what we know, or at least heard from the Polish officials, is that this was a Russian missile. But in the words of President Andrzej Duda, there is no unequivocal evidence of who actually fired the missile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it comes in the midst of a massive Russian missile attack on Ukraine, in which one of the targets was Lviv, the western Ukrainian city, which is very close to the Polish border. And it may be that one of the missiles intended for that area ended up in Polish space instead and caused the loss of lives. That seems to me the most logical explanation of what happened, because clearly the target wasn't one of the major Polish cities like Warsaw, which is also close to the border, or let's say Krakow. Yeah. It really seems to be a sort of one-off type of thing. On the other hand, the Russians have denied firing any missiles at Poland, and they've also not apologized, which would be the logical action if they wanted to de-escalate rapidly.
This is, I mean, you can dissect it 10,000 ways. I mean, let's begin with probably what you're saying. I mean, if this was an accident or a stray missile, does it change much?
Well, it does, in the sense that it's not an all-out attack on a NATO ally. It's simply something that happened while attacking Ukraine. And, you know, we've seen for some time that Poland is definitely an irritant as far as Russia is concerned. Poland has played a role in harboring Ukrainian refugees. It's taken Ukraine's side. It's served as a base for US and other European troops from NATO. So Poland is a state that's really quite hostile to Russia. But at the same time, there have been no evidence of any open actions by Poland against Russia. And Russia up to now has refrained from attacking any NATO state directly, which would be regarded as a very dangerous move. And Article 5 would then come into play, where all the NATO states would have to come up with some kind of response. Mm-hmm. We've not reached that stage yet. And probably we don't need to. Much will depend on what happens over the next 2 or 3 days, whether it's possible, let's say, for the US and Russia to talk at a high level, or even for sort of Poland and Moscow to come to some kind of understanding as well. But one thing for sure is that Russia has to respond, and it really has to be Vladimir Putin who responds one way or another. Did he mean to do this? Was it an accident? Or was it a mistake? You know, and I think diplomacy should manage to get over this hump, but it really is a matter of great tension.
And Sergei Lavrov could actually make that as well, because he's actually in Bali, where pretty much you know, all the G20 leaders are, and they are convened for an emergency meeting. All right, let's pick up where you actually had left off. This could very well be a cleverly disguised attack. I mean, like you said, I mean, if Article 4 is invoked, it could lead to Article 5. I mean, this could very well be President Putin testing the resolve of NATO as well.
It could be, but also Putin is in a very fragile situation right now since the loss of Kherson. This is the most humiliating defeat in the entire history of the war for Russia. He's coming under great pressure from his own council, from figures like Kadyrov in Chechnya. Others have been quite critical for some time of the way the war is being carried out and led. And it's doubtful, I think, if he would choose to escalate at this particular time. I would have thought that Putin was looking for some ways to come to some negotiations with the West and with Ukraine, rather than trying to step up and provoke things further.
Got it. Okay, David Marples, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World.